My family robbed me blind, then asked for more. I said nothing, until I filed a fraud report and watched agents haul them out one by one. After our family reunion, I checked my account. It was drained. My brother-in-law snorted. We needed it more than you. Trembling, I reached for my suitcase and murmured, then you won't mind what's coming next. As they chuckled, a loud blast shook the building. The door flew open. And you're seriously mad about this? Maeve leaned against the fridge, drink in hand, a smug half-grin on his face. Relax. We needed it more than you. I blinked, my thumb hovering over the refresh button in my banking app. I had already hit it 3 times. It still displayed the same number. 48,700? That could not be correct. Yesterday, I had more than $14,000. You what? My voice cracked slightly. Freya, my sister, laughed from the couch. She appeared unconcerned, legs curled under her, sipping wine as if this were just another episode of family game night. Oh, don't be so dramatic, she replied. It's not like we stole it. We're family. You drained my account. It's not draining if we're going to pay it back, Maeve said with a shrug. Eventually. My mouth opened, but no sound emerged. I looked at Mom, who was sitting across the room knitting. She did not even look up. Mom, I asked loudly, did you know about this? She sighed, as if I had just accused her of ruining supper. Sweetheart, you're always so sensitive. You have a good job, no mortgage, no kids, you live alone. You're fine. So that justifies stealing from me? Language, Jasper, Dad mumbled, not glancing up from his phone. I turned to Freya. How did you even get access? You left your information on the family computer, she remarked without apology. Maybe next time don't log in and walk away. Honestly, it's your own fault. My own. I stopped myself. My fingers tightened into fists. My breathing had become shallow. You're making this a bigger deal than it needs to be, he remarked. It's not like we wasted it on nonsense. We paid rent, bought groceries, survived. You didn't ask. We didn't think we had to, Freya exclaimed. You've been paying for stuff for years. What's the difference if it comes through you or from you? I cautiously picked up my luggage. Nobody moved. Nobody apologized. Nobody even seemed surprised. You're leaving already? Mom inquired. Yep, I replied, zipping my coat. But don't worry, I'll be in touch. Don't be like that, Freya said, rolling her eyes. We needed it more than you. That's just facts. I grabbed for the doorknob and paused. Then you won't mind what's coming next. They laughed. But outdoors, something had already begun. You always helped. That's what you're for, right? Hey, you okay? My cousin Jen caught up with me outside as I marched to my car, fists tight and jaw gritted. No, I mumbled, pulling open the door. I heard what Freya said, she said cautiously. That wasn't right. I didn't respond. Because if I talked, I would shout. The truth is, this was not the first time. For years, I've been the responsible one, the one with a steady career who didn't require assistance. So, somehow, I became the family's wallet. It started little. Freya neglected to pay her phone bill once, and I covered it. Then Maeve lost his job and begged for a little loan to help him through the month. Then there was the birthday gift for their daughter, which I volunteered to pay for, except I didn't. They simply believed I would. They always made it sound like I owed them something. You're lucky, Jasper, Mom said, her voice sweet but stern below. You don't have the struggles your sister does. God gave you ease so you could share it. Family means supporting each other, Dad said several times. You wouldn't be here if it weren't for us. Translation: we gave you life, now give us your paycheck. I've never asked for anything. Not when I was laid off for 6 months and survived on rice and eggs. Not when I skipped vacations for 3 years in a row to increase my funds. Not even when I helped Freya and Maeve pay off their credit card debt 2 years ago. They never repaid me. They never even thanked me. Are you still coming to the family reunion? Freya inquired last week. Yeah, I responded. Should I bring something? Her response came quickly. Just bring yourself and your card. I assumed it was a joke. Now I see it wasn't. Freya called me 2 days after the incident. I didn't respond. She called again, and again. Then Maeve texted. Just call her, man. She's freaking out. I eventually got it on the 5th try. Jasper, she said, her voice low and unsteady. We have a problem. Oh, we do? Look, don't be like that. Something happened. I remained mute. She proceeded. The power company came today. We're behind on the bill, like way behind. And they're threatening to shut it off if we don't pay by Monday. So, She took a breath. So, we need your help. I laughed, a brief and bitter sound. You drained my savings, and now you're asking for more? It wasn't just for us, she retorted. We used some of it to help Mom and Dad too. Dad's car broke down last month, remember? I wasn't told. Because you always say no when it's not an emergency. Freya, I stated plainly. This isn't just messed up. It's criminal. You're being dramatic. It's family. You didn't ask me. We didn't think you'd mind. You've always helped. That's what you're for, right? There it was. That is what you are for. That night I was unable to sleep. I lay awake, recalling every detail of the previous 5 years. The favors, the minor transfers, the way Mom constantly remarked, "You're the strong one," and the way Freya rolled her eyes if I hesitated for even a second. They never considered me a brother, a son, a person, just a resource. 3 days later, Mom called. We need to talk. She didn't ask how I was. She did not inquire about my job. She did not even inquire about the missing money. We're planning a family dinner, just us. Come over tonight. My stomach sank. What's this really about? Jasper, she said, her voice low. You've caused a lot of tension. I created tension. Still, I went. Part of me wanted answers. The other part was curious if they would even try appearing to be sorry. They did not. When I stepped in, Freya was already there, arms folded. Maeve sat next her, seemingly bored. Mom was in the kitchen. Dad flipped through the letters as if nothing had happened. So, Freya asked as I sat down, are we going to act like adults or what? Depends, I said. Are you ready to confess to felony theft? She scoffed. God, you're so extra. It wasn't theft. It was family money. You always help. We needed it. Maeve nodded. You can spare it, so why the drama? I didn't give permission. You didn't say no either. Because I didn't know. Details, Freya murmured. I turned to Mom. And you're just okay with this? She looked away. We all agreed. You've always been the one who could handle it. No one even thought to ask. We trusted you. Dad piped in. I trusted you to do what was right. I stood up. And what's right? Letting you steal from me while smiling in my face. Stop saying steal, Freya yelled. It was for the family. Then you won't mind when the family deals with the consequences. What does that mean? Maeve's gaze sharpened. I didn't respond. Not yet. You don't get to cry now. When I walked inside, everyone was already there. Mom was preparing the table, clinking plates louder than required. Dad sat on the couch, flipping channels as if it were a usual Thursday night. Freya stood near the window, arms folded, jaw tense. Maeve lounged at the end of the table, as if he were about to watch a game rather than face the consequences of emptying someone's life savings. Well, look who showed up, Freya commented dryly. I dumped my stuff near the door, without saying a word. Let's just get this over with, I grumbled. Good, Maeve smiled. Maybe we can finally stop pretending you were robbed. I was robbed. I sat down. That was the cue. Mother cleared her throat. Jasper, we know you're upset, but you have to understand. We were struggling. We didn't have any other options. Freya and Maeve. They were drowning. And you, said Dad. You've always been the stable one. We knew we could count on you. You didn't ask, I answered with a chilly voice. You took. That's not family. That's theft. Freya rolled her eyes. You're being so dramatic. We didn't spend it on crap. We used it where it mattered. No. I dug into my purse, took out a printed spreadsheet and slammed it onto the table. 1 for $72 on makeup, $900 on takeout, $2,300 to pay off your car loan, Maeve. Didn't think I'd check? Maeve leaned closer, his expression grim. You went through our accounts? Oh, I did more than that. I opened my laptop. The screen displayed a clean, color-coded breakdown of each charge and transfer, all of which were traceable. I compiled every transaction, I filed a fraud report, and guess what? They got back to me. Freya's eyes widened. You didn't. I did. You called the police, she yelled. I turned to Mom. Still think this is just family business? This is insane, Dad snapped. You want to put your own sister in jail? You put yourself there. Then came a knock. 3 forceful, powerful pounds on the door. Freya turned pale. Maeve stood up too quickly. Mom gasped and backed away. Dad froze. Open up, a voice demanded. Financial Crimes Unit. Knock, knock. Maeve turned to me, his words low. Jasper, tell me you're not serious. I opened the door. 3 agents entered, wearing jackets with prominent letters. One carried a clipboard, the second option is a tablet. The third person inspected the room. You, Jasper Carver? Yes. Thank you for your cooperation. We'll take it from here. Mom covered her mouth. Freya collapsed into a chair as if her legs had given up. Maeve stood there dumbfounded. One of the agents turned towards them. You're listed as parties of interest in an open case of financial fraud and identity theft. Identity theft, Mom said. He's our son. The agent did not blink. Family ties don't make illegal activity legal, ma'am. We didn't steal anything, Freya exclaimed. We had a right. He always helped us. Being entitled to someone's money does not make it yours, another agent explained gently. Remain seated, please. I simply stood back and watched. For the first time in my life, no one talked over me, mocked me, or laughed at me. Mom turned to me, her voice quivering and her eyes already welling up with tears. Jasper, please. We didn't mean to hurt you. We were just desperate. You've always been the strong one. You're the only one we could count on. I looked her dead in the eye. You don't get to cry now. She covered her mouth and wept. Freya attempted to say something, but no words came. Maeve appeared ready to flee, but sat down under the agent's gaze. You want to talk about what family is? I asked, stepping forward. It's trust. It's respect. It's asking, not assuming, not stealing, not laughing while you bleed me dry. They said nothing. I collected my luggage from the floor and turned to face the lead agent. I'll be outside. And this time, they did not stop me. You're free now, Jasper. Don't go back. I exited the house in silence. Nobody chased me. Nobody called my name. For once, there was no guilt. There's no drama. There was no Freya yelling after me with her customary, "How could you?" Just the chilly night air and the sound of tires crunching behind me as the investigators led them out one by one. I did not remain to watch. That night, I drove without a direction, past closed coffee shops and lit gas stations with my phone constantly vibrating in the passenger seat. I didn't answer a single call. I didn't want to hear apologies that seemed like excuses. By midnight, I had parked outside the only place that had ever felt like a secure harbor, my grandmother's old house. She died several years ago, but I still had the key. She used to tell Jasper, if they ever turn on you, come here. The door will always be open for you. That night it did. I slept for 11 solid hours. No texts. There is no guilt. There was no stress pulling down on my chest, like it always did when I was around my family. When I woke up, I poured coffee into a chipped mug and stood at the window, watching the sun creep over the fence she used to garden behind. For the first time in years, I felt able to breathe. But the silence did not last. The first email arrived that afternoon. From Dad. This has gone too far. You've humiliated the entire family. What happened to loyalty? I didn't respond. Then Freya texted. I hope you're happy. They're freezing my accounts. Maeve's being investigated at work. You ruined our lives over a couple of payments. A couple? Consider tens of thousands of dollars. Consider 5 years of silent sacrifice. Then came Mom. A voicemail, her voice faint and breaking. You didn't have to do it this way. We could have handled it like a family. Jasper, sweetheart, please. They're threatening charges. They said we might lose the house. I replayed that line in my thoughts. They might lose their house. And suddenly, I wasn't angry. I was not vengeful. I honestly didn't care. Because I had already lost my home years before, when they thought I was worth more as a financial account than a son. 2 days have gone by. Then a message appeared from someone I didn't expect. Maeve's brother. We were not close. Maybe speak 5 words to each other on birthdays. However, his text was simple. Just so you know, Freya's trying to shift blame on you. Says you knew and approved the money transfers. There's a lawyer involved. Watch your back. I nearly laughed. Even now, with everything crumbling, she was still attempting to spin it. That night, I called my attorney. Send everything, I said. Said we're not just pressing charges. I want a restraining order too. However, not all messages were antagonistic. A week later, I received a short email from Kelly, Maeve's sister. I know we haven't spoken in years, but I just wanted to say you were right. About all of it. About how they treat you. About how toxic it's gotten. I used to think you were just cold. Now I think you were brave. I looked at her message for a long time. Brave. Nobody in my family has ever used that word on me. One morning my phone rang again. Unknown number. I almost turned it down, but something told me to pick it up. Jasper. The voice was tiny and raspy. It's Freya. I did not say anything. She continued talking. Look, I know I messed up, okay? I went too far. I didn't expect it to go like this. Maeve has been suspended. Mom won't stop crying. Dad won't even speak to me. And you? She paused. You always had the power to ruin everything, and you finally did. I did not say anything for a moment. Then I said flatly. I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped letting you walk over me. Silence. Then, can you just stop it now? Drop the charges, please. I'll do anything. Just make it stop. I nearly felt something. Almost. But then I remembered what she said the night of the reunion. We needed it more than you. I smiled grimly. No, I replied. You made this mess. You live in it. So I hung up. That night, I made supper quietly, listened to my favorite college record, sat on the porch with a mug of coffee, and watched the world go by. And, for the first time since I was a teenager, no one asked me for money, no one guilt-tripped me, and no one made me feel like I was only important if I donated something. I was no longer their wallet, I was just me, and it was enough. I am not your bank, I'm not your backup plan, I'm done. It's strange how silent tranquility is. No one tells you that. You imagine it will be like fireworks, loud music, or a big party. But to me, tranquility sounded like, nobody asked me for money, nobody calls me selfish, nobody writes long texts like, since you're the only one doing well. Just silence. Glorious, undisturbed silence. It had been 3 months since the night I blew up everything. 3 months since the investigation began. Since my family stared at me in disbelief as agents came through their front door. Reality has finally punched through years of delusions. They claim you cannot pick your family. Maybe it's true. However, you may determine how much of yourself you're ready to sacrifice in order to keep them happy. And I was finished losing. The repercussions came quickly. Freya and Maeve? Pure damage control. First, a lawyer emailed my attorney, offering to handle the problem discreetly. No apologies. No ownership. It's just damage control. I instructed my attorney, let it burn. A week later, Mom mailed a letter. 10 pages. Her penmanship is still neat, but wavering in places. She detailed how things got out of control. How they never intended to hurt me. How she wished I could see the big picture. We just assumed you'd always be there, she wrote. That's what good sons do. That line stayed with me, because that explained everything. Not that we were mistaken. No, you did not deserve it. Simply put, you were meant to remain silent while continuing to provide. I did not write back. I did not call. And for the first time in my life, I did not feel bad about it. I moved. New apartment, new state. No more unexpected visits from relatives. Freya will no longer make surprise visits. I even changed my phone number. My supervisor noticed how dedicated I had become and gave me a promotion. I took it. It's funny how much better you do at work when you aren't discreetly managing your sister's vehicle payments and your mother's past-due electricity bills. I sleep better now, I eat healthier, I can breathe better, because I no longer have 4 people on my back who refuse to say thank you. Then one morning, a letter arrived. There's no return address. Inside was a $1,200 check and a handwritten letter. I left him. You were right, I was afraid. But observing what you did gave me the confidence to walk away as well. This is the total amount you paid for Ellie, including the tablet, rent, and clothing. I know Maeve didn't thank you, but I do. Thank you for being the example I needed. Kelly. I read it twice. Then I cried. Not because of sadness, not out of suffering. But, for the first time, someone in that family recognized me as a person, not a pocketbook or a scapegoat. People question me sometimes. Do you regret it? The answer is easy. Number, I regret having waited so long. I regret every restless night, every canceled vacation, every strict budget I lived under while they dined out, shopped, and shared grateful family vibes on Instagram. I regret making myself tiny so that they could feel big. I regret not saying, "You're crossing a line." Do I regret standing up? Is it being burned down? Never. My therapist once questioned me, "Why did it take you so long to say no?" And I said, "Because I thought that saying no meant I didn't love them." She nodded and said, "Saying no is how you teach people to love you back." I've never forgotten it. A few days ago, I ran into someone I knew from high school. She responded, "Hey, I saw what happened with your family. That's wild." I was expecting a judgment or pity, but instead she grinned and said, "Good for you. Most people never get out." I thanked her. Then I walked away, feeling slightly taller. Freya and Maeve are still being investigated. Maeve lost his job, according to the latest information I have. Freya's bank account was frozen. Mom is attempting to finance the house. Dad is supposedly blaming outside influences for pulling the family apart. They still don't understand it. I did not rip anything apart. I just quit pretending the parts were still together. Sometimes I have flashbacks. That night. The table. Freya chuckled as I viewed my account. Maeve grinned as if it were a joke. Mom brushed it off. "You don't need that money," she replied. And now? They now know the truth. That money was more than just money. It was my life, my time, my health, my bounds. They crossed them for years, as if it didn't matter. They are now paying the price. I don't applaud their downfall, but I applaud myself, for getting through it, for walking away, and for not returning. Even when the silence seemed lonely. Even when shame whispered in my ear, as it used to. Why the silence? It is freedom. So, if you are reading this, you have been the strong one, the accountable one, the decent son or daughter who is required to pay, yet never says a word. Let me tell you what I wish someone had told me. You do not need to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You're free to stop. You can walk away. And when do you do it? You do not lose your family. You find yourself.